Okay, we got the transmitter upside down. This is the low voltage power supply, 300 volt. That's already installed. The high voltage one is going to go to the right of it, and it's going to be almost exactly the same. The circuit board is one little thing different on it, but other than that, it's the same. So if you looked at part 2, when I built the this supply, it's almost a duplicate. But we got the HT37 now laying down here, and we're working on the VFO side of the transmitter. There's the VFOs right here, and there's your low voltage 300 volt power supply filter, which we have replaced with the other board up here, and this is a choke down here. But anyway, the next thing we got to do is you're going to have to build a circuit board, and this is your circuit board pattern right here. Now this is a new pattern, and it's the only thing that's changed is right in here a little bit. I added a little more foil, and we're gonna build this board here. So let me get this out of the way. And this is the board here, the original that I'm working with. The only thing that's been changed is the foil's been brought all the way down. So, well, when you make your drawing, because I do have the dimensions here of the board, the length and the height, or the length here and the width of the board here. So 4 and 4¼ inches. And this board, by the way, on this particular high voltage circuit board, can be extended another ½ inch if you had to. If you can't get the exact physical size of capacitors that I have, these here, yours is a little bit bigger, a little wider, then you'll just have to change where you'll drill your holes. Okay, and you can see here I got them marked. There's a negative there and positive. Positive, negative, negative, positive, and positive, negative. So that's how the capacitors go in there. And this shows you where the resistors go across the board, equalizing resistors, and your input to the board from the choke L26. But anyway, so that's it there, and this is my pattern here. So the pattern I drew right up here is the same size as the pattern down here, okay? So what you do, you need to go look on the YouTube and see how to make printed circuit boards. This is all done with felt pins. But you get your circuit, you cut a board out like this, okay? That goes like that. You'll cut this out and you'll scotch tape it to here, and when you got your pattern on there, the pattern is sitting over the board, and then what you can do, you can punch through all the markings here I have, see, and then duplicate that, and then you take your capacitors that you have and see if the pins line up from where you punched it. If it doesn't line up, then you have to decide, how you want to go on there, increase it or decrease it, whatever you got. But that's what you do there. Of course, when you make the circuit board, then before you draw your pattern, you want to use the 2 different steel wools. The heavy, take off much of the oxidation and junk on the board, and then fine steel wool it, wipe it off with alcohol, clean it off again with a rag, and then naturally draw your pattern. Then you etch it, and this is what you come up with right here, the etching of the board. All right, now before I build this board, there's a thing you have to know, and the second part I told you about coming in and drilling holes on the side of the transmitter. Okay, now this board here has this marking right here. That's for drilling a hole through there and putting a standoff, either a bolt or a standoff nut on there. But you like I put a 440 bolt through the metal and through the board, and then the board here, the copper side, goes right against the inside of the transmitter. So you have to have a spacer in there. So you can use a 440 bolt, put 3 or 4 nuts in there. So this board is at least, you want it about a 1/4 inch away from the steel siding of the side of the transmitter. So and so these holes right here, I'm going to tell you what to do here to get the board positioned right inside the transmitter. So this is the transmitter here now. This one here has the first board in, the low voltage board. See, right here is 2 bolts went through. Now what I did is you can put a piece of board across there, and from that there you can measure. I only got one hand here, so you put it right even with the board, and you measure down 7/8 of an inch. So it'd be 7/8 of an inch to the center line. Okay, and then go back down here, over here, and then do the same thing and make a mark. And then what I did was one-handed, is lay this across here. Okay, and when you lay that across there, you draw a line with a pencil mark straight across, all the way across. Then you'll start out, I suppose you'll probably replace the low voltage capacitor and the high voltage too, because this is this 1960 transmitter, so I just replaced them both. But the original one, the 300 volt one, I started, and you spaced it, and this board's right against the VFO cardboard cover here. It's touching that. But you can go maybe 1/8 of an inch over more clearance, and draw a line there, and then come back down. Then you put your board up on there, right against that line here, the mark here, and then you got your 7/8, got this hole here 7/8 from the top, and then you put a mark down this way, and that's where your 2 holes are going to be. Your 2 holes are going to be. Now this is steel, and the bad part is, before you get to this piece of steel, you got this piece of steel. Okay. So actually, what you want to do, you can start here on this board here, on this piece of steel here, but you got to drill this first. You got to drill this first. You come down your, right there, come down 7/8 over here, come down 7/8, draw your line across. Okay. Then maybe put another steel ruler in here or something like that. I'm using a steel ruler here. Come over here, go on down right here by the VFO down to the chassis. All right, and measure. But you have to count for here. See here? Let me see how this thing goes exactly here. It'll go in here right like this. So it'll go right like that, right on there. So this lines up with the removable one. You'll measure from here to there. From here to there. Get that measurement. Then come down, and then then you put your board. Take the same measurement right here, come across where that line comes down, and put the board that you have. That's right here. See, the printed circuit board will be laying there, and then When you're 7/8 down, that hole from the top here to the hole is 7/8. You can take a punch, put a punch mark. That's right where you want it. And then you got it made there. Now let me see something here. I just thought of something here. That's going to be a little more because I just thought of that because you got the thickness of the steel here too. So you're going to have to measure that a little bit. You're going to have to measure that a little bit and calculate. So it's going to be maybe an inch. An inch should do it to get you right in there. So you got to get this plate drilled first. And once that plate's drilled, you can bolt this plate back on so that, you know, it's really on there the proper way. And then go through your holes with a punch and punch those 4 marks here. And then you're set to drill through this. It's a lot of work. You can see I made some preliminary holes right here to try to figure out how to put these boards in. And I had to redo it. And it took quite a bit of time. And you got to use oil. Some oil to keep the drill bit cool while you're drilling too. All right, so we got that, and now you got your board built. So what we're going to do is we're going to I got my 4 capacitors, and I have my 4 resistors that goes onto the board, and I'm gonna mount the 4 capacitors in there. And using my print here for the plus and minus, and this is the foil side facing you, right there. I'm going to mount these capacitors onto the board and solder them in. Now, one of the little tricks is to make sure I use a heat gun. What do you call these? I forget what they call these things, but anyway, glue gun, I guess. Yeah, a glue gun. Yeah, that's what it says, a glue gun. And I'll just put a little right in the middle here. I'll put a little glue on there, and then I'll position it real quick onto the board and press down, and so the capacitor is flush. So the capacitor here is flush with the board. And then, you know, it takes 10 seconds or 20 seconds and it's cooled down and that capacitor's in there. Then I get them all lined up and then I recheck them for the polarity. And after they're all lined up and the polarity looks good, then I'll solder them in. So we're going to go ahead and do that. We're going to get this in and get it checked and soldered, and we'll be back